Well, I think she's compromised. I think by going to Syria and basically backing a brutal dictator there. Russian-controlled media called her a Russian asset.
Tulsi Gabbard pushed for dropping charges against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange and pardoning National Security Agency contractor Edward Snowden, both whom were accused of leaking highly sensitive U.S. secrets that put Americans in danger.
I'm thrilled to have, of course, Donald Trump on that team. I'm thrilled to have Bobby Kennedy on that team because the American people are sick of the BS. And by the way, I've been asked by some folks about, to comment on Liz Cheney. I think we just traded Liz Cheney for Tulsi Gabbard. That's the biggest upgrade in American politics, and I'm awfully happy about it.
Kirsten Gillibrand. Oh, monstrous.
Monstrous?
Ideas.
Well, when she was 22, she had...
No, she's an Assad toady.
What does that mean?
She is
What's a toady?
I think that I used that word correctly. Jamie, can you check what toady means?
Like towing the line? Is that what it means?
No, I think it's like a... Toadie.
What does that mean?
I think it means what I think it means.
Toady. Definition of toadies. A person who flatters or defers to others for self-serving reasons.
A sycophant.
So she's an Assad sycophant. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's known about her.
Like, what did she say that
we have to look.
her?
I don't remember the details.
We probably should say that before we say that about her. We should probably read it rather.
Well, I have read it.
No, I mean, we should now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just so we know what she said.
Look up
I've had her
Tulsi
on
Gabbard.
Here before, I really enjoyed talking to her. I like her a lot.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I like talking to her.
Okay.
I like talking to her. I don't know about...
I think she's like the motherlode of bad ideas.
Whoa.
I'm pretty positive about that, especially on Assad, but maybe I'm wrong.
If confirmed, she will be perhaps the most markedly or most publicly anti-surveillance official to ever lead the part of the U.S. government that is tasked with doing surveillance on foreign entities. In 2020, back when she was still a Democrat and she was in Congress, she introduced a series of bills that would have been pretty profoundly antithetical to how the intelligence community thinks. Two of them were aimed at persuading the government to drop its prosecution of Edward Snowden, the former National Security Agency contractor who revealed the existence of bulk NSA collection of Americans' data back in 2013, as well as of Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks. Both of these men are seen really as almost enemies of the state within the intelligence community, even as they've attracted some support from kind of the sort of libertarian wing of the Republican Party, as well as some progressives in the Democratic Party. Gabbard also in 2020 introduced this piece of legislation that would have wholesale repealed one of the most powerful surveillance authorities that the U.S. government has to spy on foreigners overseas, something called Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Now, that is legislation that has drawn some criticism from civil liberties advocates who say that it impinges on Americans' data privacy as well. But to wholesale repeal it without replacing it would be tantamount, according to some former U.S. intelligence officials, to effectively blinding the commander-in-chief. This is an authority under which as much as half of what's known as the president's daily brief is drawn from every day.
But obviously Bashar al-Assad is responsible for thousands of deaths and millions of people being displaced during this 5-year-long civil war. Did you have any compunctions about meeting with somebody like that, giving him any sort of enhanced credibility because a member of the United States Congress would meet with someone like that?
Whatever you think about President Assad, the fact is that he is the president of Syria. In order for any peace agreement, in order for any possibility of a viable peace agreement to occur, there has to be a conversation with him. The Syrian people will determine his outcome and what happens with their government and their future. But our focus, my commitment is on ending this war that has caused so much suffering to these Syrian people, to these children, to these families, many of whom I met on this trip. It's important for us to stay focused on doing what is in their best interest and what is in our best interest, and doing what it is necessary to make that happen. But they expressed a question. They said, why is it that the United States, its allies and other countries are providing support, are providing arms to terrorist groups like al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, Arar al-Sham, ISIS, who are on the ground there raping, kidnapping, torturing, and killing the Syrian people, children, men, women, people of all ages. They asked me, why is the United States and its allies supporting these terrorist groups who are destroying Syria when it was al-Qaeda who attacked the United States on 9/11, not Syria? I didn't have an answer for them.
Obviously, the United States government denies providing any sort of help to the terrorist groups that you're talking about. They say they provide help for the rebel groups. Tell us more about...
The reality is, Jake, the reality is, and I'm glad you brought up that point, because this is an often talked about thing by people like Adam Kinzinger and others saying, well, we've got to support the moderate rebels. Every place that I went, every person that I spoke to, I asked this question to them. And without hesitation, they said, there are no moderate rebels. Who are these moderate rebels that people keep speaking of? Regardless of the name of these groups, the strongest fighting force on the ground in Syria is al-Nusra or al-Qaeda and ISIS. That is a fact. There's a number of different other groups. All of them essentially are fighting alongside, with, or under the command of the strongest group on the ground that's trying to overthrow Assad. The Syrian people recognize, and they know, that if President Assad is overthrown, then al-Qaeda or a group like al-Qaeda that has been killing Christians, killing people simply because of their religion or because they won't support their terror activities, they will take charge of all of Syria. This is the reality that the people of Syria are facing on the ground, and why they are pleading with us here in the United States to stop supporting these terrorist groups. Let the Syrian people themselves determine their future. I want to start with something that I think is also important about facts, because recently on your show here...
I was just going to get to that.
Good. Helping you out. Some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on.
They use that. I guess we're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing. Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why...
I mean, you're on Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier.
We actually have the clip of Hillary Clinton, just to put this in context of what we're talking about. Let's take a look at that.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. That's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. It's offensive to me as a soldier, as an American, as a member of Congress, as a veteran, and frankly, as a woman, to be so demeaned in such a way.
But you called her the personification of rock.
So demeaned
She's a woman
in such a way. Well, I'm pointing to the fact that she has continued this legacy of being the world's police around the world, that has waged wars costing the lives of thousands of my brothers and sisters in uniform. And
What's your evidence to that?
To change.
Well,
Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
I served in the war
Not
in
you,
Iraq.
her. You're saying that she's
exactly.
she's a
I
warmonger.
served
How do
in
you
the
come
war
up with
in
that?
Iraq
Yeah.
that she championed. She championed a regime change war
Did you not
in
believe
Libya.
in that war?
I believe the lies that were told to us.
Well, so did she.
Look, it is indisputable to say anything other than the fact that Hillary, let me just close this out, that Hillary Clinton throughout her career has led with a foreign policy of interventionism and being the world's police, going and toppling dictators in other countries that has caused such destruction and loss of life. I'm against that.
She tried to limit Trump's war powers against Iran. She tried to cut our annual defense budget so that we couldn't punish Iran and hinder their influence. Reminder, Iran is our #1 sponsor of terrorism, and Tulsi Gabbard was defending Iran. She went to Syria in 2017 for a photo op with Bashar al-Assad while he was massacring his own people. She said she was skeptical that he was behind the chemical weapons attacks. For her to say that Assad was not behind that, literally everything she said about that were Russian talking points. Every bit of that. That was Russian propaganda. After Russia invaded Ukraine, Tulsi Gabbard literally blamed NATO.
Because it was NATO's
fault. Our Western alliance that's responsible for countering Russia. She blamed NATO for the attack on Ukraine. And the Russians and the Chinese echoed her talking points and her interviews on Russian and Chinese television. Tulsi Gabbard pushed for dropping charges against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange and pardoning National Security Agency contractor Edward Snowden, both whom were accused of leaking highly sensitive U.S. secrets that put Americans in danger. She called for Trump to end the destructive trade war with China. So now she's defended Russia, she's defended Syria, she's defended Iran, and she's defended China. Now, she has not denounced any of these views. None of them. She hasn't taken one of them back. DNI, Department of National Intelligence, this is not a place for a Russian, Iranian, Syrian, Chinese sympathizer. DNI has to analyze real threats. Are we comfortable with someone like that at the top of our national intelligence agencies?
I'm Tulsi Gabbard, and I approve this message. You mean she had the audacity to tell the truth about what we were doing overseas? I wonder what prompted her to do that. Maybe it was the fact that she was willing to go die overseas and she recognized this corruption. Oh my God. She said we should pardon Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden, the brave American who stood up and told America that the NSA was illegally spying on us. And then he had to run and suddenly he lives in Russia. He should have been pardoned a long time ago. What am I supposed to be upset with her about this? Oh my, it's even worse than that. She said that we should pardon Julian Assange. Oh yeah, the WikiLeaks founder who leaked all of the government information, letting us know that our government was involved in corrupt operations overseas and lying about what was happening as they were killing civilians in Afghanistan. My goodness. No way. It's an act of treason against the deep state. Because what this means is that if she gets in there, the deep state won't be able to do such corrupt things. Did you hear what Nikki is telling you? So what she's saying is that Tulsi Gabbard has a spine and she's willing to look at our government, and she understands that our government has in the past taken part in false flag operations, gotten caught taking part in false flag operations, and she's willing to question and examine the mainstream narrative that is given to us by the CIA. Oh no. I really hope she doesn't get appointed. I mean, Nikki Haley, she's such a ridiculous person. Just like Kamala, by the way. You have a woman who comes from Indian parents that settle here in America after doing a stop in Canada. Very shady background, shady history. She also slept around a bit. That is a known fact. Her as she was running for office, her various affairs and the lawsuits that were involved, because she was actually, one of her affairs got muddled inside of a lawsuit, all came out. So she's basically like the Republican Kamala Harris, extremely inauthentic. She's sitting there reading notes as she's attacking Tulsi Gabbard. She's like reading her CIA notes. She's like, Nikki Haley was going to say that Edward Snowden should be pardoned. Yeah, that's the government we want. That's why we didn't vote for you, because you think that there's something problematic about that. You're a deep state stooge. They likely have blackmail on you, who knows? But you also, Nikki Haley, have that shell complex. Like, it just seems like anybody can download any position into you and you just say whatever it is they want you to say. Like, you're just a total operative. And I got to witness that firsthand. I did an event with her. You're not allowed to ask her a single question off script. She freaks out. Her team freaks out if somebody asks her a question off script because she's not intelligent enough to turn around and answer. And that's why Vivek embarrassed her on the stage when she was running for president. Vivek completely embarrassed her when he told her to just name several regions in Ukraine and she couldn't do it.
One thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. She has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for.
So watch out for that woman, and that should make you want to vote for Tulsi more than ever before, because it sounds like Tulsi doesn't want war with Iran, and the deep state desperately wants it, and so they're sending their people out to attack Tulsi for entirely no reason. But I'll tell you something, if you're willing to die overseas for your country in the way that she was, she's probably not going to be willing to send our sons and our daughters to die overseas for causes that are not actually going to help the American people any. And that's really been the story of the last 50 years in America. I don't know whose country we're dying for, but it certainly is in America.